Call now and get free professional installation and save $25 a month for 12 months.
This changes everything.
Yes, it does.
Now it's your chance to get the new HughesNet. Call 1-800-617-7624.
Big city crimes, it's small town America. Heartland Homicide, next. April 20th, 2017 should be a day that the small farming town of Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan remembers for its unseasonal warmth. Instead, it's a day that shatters not only the community, but the lives of countless others when 33-year-old Abbie Speir is murdered.
I wanted to believe that it was a small town rumor, that somebody got something wrong. Like that can't be true.
And had I known that, we might not have sent her home. We might have gotten more help. We might have intervened earlier.
What begins as a seemingly innocent house fire slowly reveals a horrifying secret that leaves 3 children without their mother, and a quiet town asking themselves how well they really know their neighbors.
I grieved those 2 weeks that I didn't have to say more things that I would have said.
Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan, a small town near the Canadian province of southeastern corner with a population that has yet to crest 500. Agriculture drives the Blakar-Yulmissa community, and those who call it home wouldn't have it any other way.
I'd say Yellowgrass is very much that small town kind of vibe. We're very small, we're very interconnected. Everybody knows everybody. Anybody that needs help, you know the whole community is kind of behind you and is going to pull together.
We have a large contingent of volunteers in the town, so people work really hard to make the community great. Everybody looks out for one another, and it's just a really great place to raise a family.
That's exactly what the 33-year-old Abbie Speir is looking for, a warm and welcoming place to raise her family. A recent transplant to the community, Yellowgrass is quick to accept her children, and her common-law partner, Kevin Okafor, as one of their own. With Kevin working out of town, Abbie often finds herself on her own looking after her young children. Balancing her own career and her family life doesn't seem to take a toll on Abbie. Those who know her could always count on her quick-witted sense of humor.
Abbie was one of those people that, she didn't live in the community for a really extended period of time and didn't have a strong family connection to that community, but just came in and said, I'm Abbie and I want to be a part of things and I want to help out, and the community just embraced her.
She was the type of community member that digs in, that volunteers, that the last one to leave to make sure everyone's taken care of and everything's cleaned up. That feeling of belonging in a community and being part of it is how she parented, but also how she lived.
Her fearless attitude is no doubt harvested by her rural upbringing. Alongside her twin sister and 2 younger siblings, Abbie spends her youth conquering the small town of Elrose, Saskatchewan.
Growing up on a farm in rural Saskatchewan, there was just tons of things to play. So we got busy playing outside, making forts, jumping on the trampoline. My one sister and I were big readers, and Abbie and Joel were big into playing farm and adventure and all kinds of games. When we were small, it was easy to play together, and then we would poke fun at the differences, right? Like Abbie knew how to get places, and my nose was stuck in a book.
Very capable, awesome piano player, took part in lots of 4-H activities, skating, grew up doing all of those things and was very capable of them, and maintained her social life as well. Always involved with lots of activities and stuff.
It's that same strong work ethic that drives her to study business in Calgary, Alberta, before she eventually settles down in Yellowgrass. She takes a job in the nearby town of Weyburn, about 20 minutes south, in the scheduling office for the province's southeastern health district. Her co-workers describe her just as her friends do, hardworking, opinionated, and hilarious.
Abbie was funny, vibrant, vivacious, kind of one of those larger-than-life people that everybody really liked to be around. One of those people who kind of wouldn't take crap from anybody, but she was funny about it.
She could dish it out and she could take it. It was always a riot to spend any time with her. Her energy was so much fun that everybody wanted to be around her.
She attracted a crowd of people everywhere, and then particular friendships and relationships. One of the dynamics of our teenage years was that Abbie would get into trouble, and then she'd tell me not to tell, or like negotiate with me on how to figure out our parents at home, right?
She was full of life and spunk from day one. So vibrant and full of energy. Hardworking. She was highly social. It got her in lots of hot water, especially in her teenage years. She didn't depend on anybody to fight her battles, and she had strong opinions. But for the most part, Abbie had a huge heart.
April 20th, 2017 is a day like any other in Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan. The residents of this sleepy prairie town wake up with their alarms and tackle another beautiful spring day, be it in the fields, tending to crops, or at their office jobs in nearby communities. That day, when Abbie returns home from work, she makes supper and feeds the children, then takes them out to their favorite place before bed, the park. While the kids busy themselves with their friends, Abbie laughs alongside her neighbors with the same vivacious, bold Abbie energy that everyone has come to love. However, little do they know, this is the last time anyone will see Abbie Speir alive. With her partner out of town for his own work, all the household responsibilities fall onto Abbie's shoulders. And that evening, after tucking her daughters into their beds, Abbie tends to the house, preparing for another busy day, balancing her work life with her home life. But as the night wears on, a dark cloud settles over the quiet home. One that brings about the beginning of the end. One that Abbie Speir never sees coming. Moments later, a neighbor out for a late-night stroll comes home to find a scene she can't quite understand, even as it unfolds in front of her very eyes. Abbie's house is on fire. Soon, surrounding neighbors spill out from their homes, taking in the horrific sight before them. One neighbor calls Abbie on her cell phone, but gets no response.
Maybe they're gone. Maybe they don't even know that their house is on fire yet. Or maybe she was over at the neighbor's house, just waiting with the kids or something like that. But, you don't really think that anything has happened or anything is going to happen because things like that just don't happen, right?
As the fire ravages the quaint home, and as neighbors watch, helpless to do anything, a wave of panic begins to spread amongst the rising chatter, one that brings forth a feeling of relentless dread. What if Abbie and her children are inside?
Are you or a loved one between the ages of 50 to 80 years old? If you are younger than 80 years old, do you receive Social Security, Disability, or Medicare? If you answered yes, you may qualify for $30,000 in funeral insurance for only pennies a day. The average funeral costs around $11,000, and Social Security only pays $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance. Call now to see if you qualify for $30,000 in funeral expense coverage from Senior Legacy Life. Your rate will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and there is no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing disease or illness. Don't be a financial burden to your family. Lock in your rate by completing an application over the phone right now. Will you qualify for funeral insurance up to $30,000 for only pennies a day? Find out by calling Senior Legacy Life.
Call 1-800-300-3341 to speak with a licensed insurance agent. That's 1-800-300-3341.
There has never been a better time to join AARP. This special offer gives you exclusive access to hundreds of AARP discounts, programs, and services that will add real value to your life. As a member, you can get discounts on glasses and eye exams, save on prescription drugs not covered by Medicare, but you can also save on travel, hotels, restaurants, concert tickets, and so much more.
I didn't know that.
AARP helps members access exclusive benefits like Medicare supplement insurance, even auto insurance.
We can use that.
AARP offers financial tips, career resources, and tools that may help you avoid identity theft and scammers.
That's good to know.
Pick up the phone now to join AARP. Just $9 per year. That's 43% off the regular membership price. You'll even get a second membership included free. And you'll receive AARP the magazine filled with information and articles important to you. Plus, you'll get hundreds of benefits and an additional free gift if you call now.
And you don't have to be retired to join AARP. You can join at 50 for instant access to many member benefits. For 60 years, AARP has fought to protect your Social Security, Medicare, and more.
That sounds good to me.
Now you know how AARP helps people like us take on today. So don't miss your chance to join now.
Call or go online now to take advantage of this limited time Labor Day sale. Just $9 per year when you sign up for a 5-year term. That's 43% off the regular membership price. And you'll get a second membership for anyone in your home free. And AARP the magazine, filled with information and articles important to you. Plus, you get the AARP mobile app that connects you to local events and activities near you. And as a free gift, we'll include this insulated trunk organizer. So don't miss this chance to save 43%. Join AARP, just $9 per year.
Call 800-264-6984 or go online today.
For too long, high-quality diamonds have been too expensive. With 70 years of fine jewelry experience, Ross Simons knows luxury and value. We now offer lab-grown dream diamonds you can actually afford. Discover real brilliance at fabulous prices. Luxury or value? Why choose? Explore the lab of luxury at rosssimons.com.
Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan, a bustling farm town where approximately 480 souls call home. A trip down Yellowgrass's streets showcase the ever-present pride that the townsfolk have in their community.
I think for the most part, people move into town and there's lots of things for young families to do. So whether they're joining the library or, joining baseball or hockey, there are community things happening.
It's a place where everyone knows their neighbors, where no one locks their doors, and where murders aren't supposed to happen.
Often we would see the report of a crime on the news and most people would discount it not really having any relationship to either of the parties. When we look at a small community, percentage-wise, the number of people that are affected by a homicide, it goes up exponentially. The number of people that know both the victim and the potential perpetrator is enormous. So the impact that has on a small community is vast.
33-year-old mother of 3 Abbie Speir lives in the quaint community with her 2 children and common-law partner, Kevin, who works out of town.
We didn't see Abbie and Kevin together very often. Kevin worked away quite a bit, so usually it was just Abbie and the kids.
Abbie loves her children fiercely and will do anything to keep them safe. But on the night of April 20th, 2017, the unthinkable happens. Abbie's house catches fire. Her neighbors gather outside, unsure if she and her children are still inside.
And so at that stage, we just thought of fire. And we were just kind of more worried about like, oh, we hope everybody got out of the fire. We hope everybody's safe. And I can remember thinking in my head, and I'm like, okay, well, a fire's a fire. You know, possessions can be replaced, and we hope it's not too serious.
As confusion begins to spread across the gathering crowd, one neighbor claims to have seen the family leave only minutes before. But little do they know, the worst is yet to come. 2 of Abbie's neighbors, one a paramedic, the other a volunteer firefighter, decide to clear the house while waiting for emergency services to arrive.
So I know that my next door neighbor, Curtis, he's a volunteer firefighter. So I ran and I got him and I said, could you just run through the house, make sure everything's gone, no one's going to be home. And he said, yeah, no problem, you know.
Even with emergency services training, entering a building on fire is incredibly dangerous. At this point, nobody truly knows if Abbie and her kids are home, what caused the fire, or what's in store for this small community thrown into chaos.
He went in, and it was about not even 5 seconds, and Curtis was back out. And said, Trish, you need to come with me. Abbie needs your help. And I go, what's wrong, Curtis? He goes, no, you need to come with me. Abbie needs your help.
Desperate to find their friend, Abbie's neighbors enter the burning home, battling against the raging smoke and heat, risking their own lives to save hers. With visibility low, it's a struggle to navigate the home. They eventually make their way into the kitchen, and there, on the floor, their worst fears are confirmed. That's where they discover Abbie. The paramedic quickly assesses her friend, but there's nothing she can do. Abbie is gone.
And Curtis said, no, Trish, you need to do something. You need to help her. And so I said, well, the only way I can help her more is let's get her out of here.
The small crowd of neighbors who have gathered to watch the burning house watch in a stunned horror as Abbie's lifeless body is pulled from her burning home.
One of our friends came down the street from the direction of Abbie's house, and he came and said that Abbie's gone. And then the bottom just dropped out.
Another first responder showed up, and I tried to help, but there was nothing to do. So I looked at another person that was on scene with me, and I just said to her to remember 8:34. And she asked why, and I said, I'm marking that down as time of death.
Even with this grim discovery, the town's worry quickly grows to devastating proportions as the reality of the situation kicks in. If Abbie was inside, does that mean that her children are in there too?
And I said, you know what, if the girls are in the house still, it'll be a recovery.
Minutes after the fire began, emergency personnel arrive and get the flames under control. The stunned crowd holds their collective breaths as authorities enter the remains. Their only mission now is one of recovery.
And that was our biggest thing, is automatically we went to the kids and trying to confirm that they were safe, because at that point we knew Abbie wasn't.
After a thorough search, emergency personnel revealed to the anxious crowd that the children are not inside, a feeling that offers both utter relief and total dismay. A neighbor gives police a photo of Abbie's children to help with the search. The RCMP moved fast and put the entire province of Saskatchewan on high alert, notifying every RCMP detachment within hundreds of kilometers. Their top priority now is finding these two little girls and finding them alive. With Kevin, Abbie's common law partner, out of town on business, investigators must act quickly to find any leads while simultaneously trying to piece together the events that have rapidly unfolded.
Once it becomes known to investigators or to police in general that a person may be in danger because, a pattern has changed and they have decided this person is in fact a missing person, time is of the essence now, because the longer the period of time goes between when they were last seen and when somebody picks up the trail, that can have very dire circumstances for the outcomes. Obviously, when children are involved, the stakes become higher. They're certainly not able to fend for themselves the way an adult may. And obviously the idea of a child going missing and being in harm's way or being in danger, that affects the community.
Time stops in the small town of Yellowgrass as the community awaits the fate of two innocent children.
It was complete shock. We didn't know her family. We didn't know how to get a hold of anybody. The girls were missing, so we weren't sure where they were. And we were checking the news, and we had the TV on. And my sister-in-law, who's a paramedic, she was texting people who she knows paramedics in Regina, and city police. Has anybody heard anything? Do you guys know anything? So we sat there and we waited and waited.
Hours pass without any updates. Everyone begins to accept that the worst has happened. Until... 11 p.m. that same night, Abbie's sister, who lives an hour away in Regina, notices some commotion outside her home.
I was home with the baby on my own. Yeah, my partner had gone to hockey, and so much of it, all the way through, has felt like a dream or like a TV show. I think that's what happens when you're sort of stuck in fight or flight in a stress response.
There, sitting on her front steps, are Abbie's daughters. They're cold, they're tired, but they're otherwise unharmed.
I am so grateful that Abbie's kids were left in our care.
The question investigators now face is how two small children could have ended up so far away from their home, so far away from their mother, who loved them more than life itself. And what exactly transpires during the hours leading up to Abbie's death? Could the fire be a result of faulty wiring in the house? Or is there something more nefarious at play?
At drivetime.com, you can get approved, shop thousands of cars, and customize your payments.
With no hit to your credit when you shop online.
Amazing. What's with the piñata?
Well, to show people that usually if you want to see your real terms online, your credit takes a hit.
Everybody knows that, Tom.
But not at drivetime.com. I'm a visual learner, Kim.
I am too. Well, now you can see your real terms on every car and customize your down and monthly payments.
With no credit hit.
Shop for cars online with no credit hit at drivetime.com.
Dogs are expensive. My number one pet parent hack, Spot pet insurance.
I spent so much money on vet bills.
Spot made it so painless and easy for me. They reimbursed me $2,700.
It is so easy and so simple. 2024 is the year of Spot pet insurance.
I'm obsessed with Spot.
Spot is so slick.
I'm here to tell you, consider getting pet insurance.
They
are trying to shut down this legal loophole to get 100 milligram generic Viagra or 20 milligram generic Cialis delivered to your door for just 87 cents in less than 2 minutes. Do this. First, scan the QR code to go to getfridayplans.com. Then, you select if you need generic Viagra or Cialis, the quantity you need, and the dosage. I'll pick 100 milligram, thank you very much, and then their system will see if you qualify. Give it a second to find the best deals, and boom. Look at that. 87 cents for each 100 milligram generic Viagra tablet. 20 milligram Cialis is the same price. The prescription and shipping are free. Scan the QR code to go to getfridayplans.com and see for yourself. Don't wait. Scan the QR code or go to getfridayplans.com now.
Get this thing off of me! You still haven't broken up with bad bras and gone to honeylove.com? Take your current torture device of a bra. It in no way fits your body, and the underwire
Stabs me in the boobs constantly.
not anymore, thanks to Honeylove.
Wow. There's no spillage and no gap.
And there's no underwire. Don't take it from me. Look at all these 5-star reviews. Women everywhere are breaking up with bad bras.
Looking for affordable and stylish kids' shoes? Head to fabkids.com. I love the fact that they have the color block pastel details, have easy on and off straps. These are so cute. Plus, major bonus, the glitter does not come off. These are so fun. I love the all over black and white dino print. Plus, they light up. My daughter went crazy when she saw these. The quality for the price is amazing. Get shoes from just $5 plus free shipping on orders over $10 only at fabkids.com.
Coming up next on True Crime Network. Upon the discovery that Abbie Speir's 2 daughters are missing from their Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan home, a desperate province-wide search for the girls begins. In the only good news to come from that evening, Abbie's 2 young girls are found an hour away from their home, dropped off on the front steps of their aunt's house. With authorities and townsfolk breathing a collective sigh of relief, the investigation now goes back to where it all began. Is Abbie Speir's death an accident? Or is it a result of foul play? Authorities have to consider all options when conducting an investigation. So, could faulty wiring be to blame in the house fire that overcomes Abbie Speir?
Electrical fires do happen, obviously. It could happen, by way of a malfunction of an appliance left in the home. It could be faulty wiring. But in terms of determining how the fire was set or what caused the fire, there is very specific expertise associated with that, and fire investigators are always called in to try to determine the cause of the fire.
Did Abbie have someone drop her children off for a sleepover, potentially unaware of the dangers that were brewing around her? And only when she realizes what's going on does she see that it's too late. The smoke from the growing fire overcomes her, and Abbie suffocates on her kitchen floor. Or is the truth of that fateful night more devastating than anyone can imagine? What if the fire is not electrical at all? What if someone sets it intentionally? To cover up a far more heinous crime. 2 of Abbie's neighbors, a paramedic and a volunteer firefighter, rush the house and brave the flames. They don't believe Abbie or her children are inside, but want to clear the house, just in case. However, what they find goes beyond a simple house fire. There, on her kitchen floor, is Abbie's lifeless body. A pool of blood encompasses her. She's been stabbed, 55 times. Faulty wiring is not to blame. Neither is arson. Abbie Speir has been murdered in cold blood. Her life taken from her in the place she calls home, in the place she's meant to feel safe, in the place where she's raising her family. As the town of Yellowgrass and Abbie's family grapple with the horrifying news, suspicions of who the murderer could be begin to spread. And the same person seems to be on everyone's mind.
We didn't see Abbie and Kevin together very often. Kevin worked away quite a bit, so usually it was just Abbie and the kids. So I didn't really have a lot of opportunity to witness the dynamic between the two of them. You know, sometimes in these situations where we can say in hindsight, oh yeah, I can see that. But in this situation, no idea. I have no idea.
I don't think I wanted to believe it. I wanted to believe that it was a small town rumor, that somebody got something wrong. Like that can't be true. We live in a small community that's so close and so tight knit. So at that stage, you're just in shock.
During the autopsy, the forensic pathologist performing found various degrees and depths of lacerations that Abbie sustained. The cause of death was 55 stab wounds to her body and not smoke inhalation from being within the house fire.
With the children accounted for, the manhunt can now begin. Witnesses report seeing a white truck flee Abbie's house only moments before the smoke is noticed. And it doesn't take investigators and friends alike to pinpoint a suspect. Kevin Okafor, Abbie's common-law partner. As family and friends struggle to comprehend how Abbie's common-law partner could be involved, they begin to look back on smaller, seemingly insignificant moments, only to realize that the stark, painful truth has been in front of them the entire time.
You know, in hindsight, looking at all those signs that when domestic violence isn't part of your existence, that maybe you're a little bit blind to, that certainly was a wake-up call to realize the things that people live with and the things that people go through.
There were early signs. Abbie would say, Kevin has a really broken past. We don't talk about it. I've got my issues too. We just take each other where we are. And that felt uncomfortable. Like, what does that brokenness include?
Lots of questions, lots of concerns. You know, we knew that Kevin had a child from a previous relationship that he'd had no contact with. So when I would ask about that, she would say, I've got this, Mom. We'll work it out.
He would leave, and then she would say, I don't know if we're together or we're not. And the on again, off again feel, right? She moved several times and would say, yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be moving with me. And then he'd show up. And so we'd back in, like, are we supposed to be supporting him or are we supposed to be hating him? It's not clear.
I will say there was drugs and alcohol involved, and it was a very, very turbulent time. I never gave him my full trust.
Finding herself in a dire situation, Abbie concocts a plan to escape. She leases an apartment and readies to move herself and her two daughters while her estranged partner is away for work.
So when she came on April 8th and told Mike and then subsequently told the rest of us that Kevin had hit her a few weeks prior to that, and she had asked him to leave, and the relationship is over. Always kept in close contact with her with emails and texts, but really heightened that up. It was checking 3 or 4 times a day to just make sure how things were going.
The last time I spoke with her, I knew she wasn't well, and I felt like I couldn't call her because Kevin was monitoring her devices and we didn't want to tip him off. And so I tried to keep the communication as normal as possible. I grieve those 2 weeks that I didn't have to say more things that I would have said.
We were making plans the day that she died, that Mike and Joel were going to go down and help her move on the Saturday, but never got a chance. Murder never entered my head. You're naive to that. I don't know. Maybe Abbie did a really good job of covering that up too. I have a text from her on the Tuesday night, which was 2 nights before she died, that she says, "I'm not afraid of violence. I just don't think he's ever going to leave."
I remember saying to my brother, like, I'm just terrified that he's gonna hurt her before we get there. And then we both were like, but that's not really gonna happen, right? Like, we would talk ourselves down from that ledge of fear.
We'd had 2 or 3 conversations that day. My guts were in a turmoil. And when I hung up with her the last time, that would have been between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. I left work and told them I didn't know when I'd be back. And I drove to Saskatoon, and my intention was to drive straight to Yellowgrass. I had a lot of things going through my mind, and none of them were good. I had a gut feeling this is where it was going. I stopped at home here twice between here and Battleford. I just about had to stop and be sick on the road. It was that bad.
For women in particular, they're 8 times more likely to be the victim of a homicide by their spouse or intimate partner. In general, however, 90%, if not more, homicides are committed by somebody known to the victim.
Victims, on average, will try to leave 7 times. Once they've told the perpetrator that the relationship is over is the most dangerous time for them. And had I known that, we might not have sent her home. We might have gotten more help. We might have, intervened earlier.
Kevin stabs Abbie 55 times.
I think somehow, some way, during that day, it was his plan. I think his plan was he was coming home to win her over, and if that didn't work, this was the next plan. I have never once doubted it was premeditated.
He then goes into the basement and starts the fire, assuming that the flames will cover up what he's done, but not before moving Abbie's 2 sleeping daughters into his truck.
He apparently was supposed to be in BC. They had thought he was gone. So when he was back, then we kind of were talking like, what's happening? But we knew that it was him. Like, wouldn't have been a robbery gone wrong or anything like that in our sleepy little town.
Kevin sets the fire and speeds away from the house, leaving Abbie's body to burn. He drives to Abbie's sister's house in Regina, where he leaves the children on the front steps unharmed. He flees, driving his truck westward. But the damage has already been done, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are out looking for him. And they won't stop until they find him.
You may be eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan if you are turning 65, have limited income, or you're moving. See how a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan could get you some big benefits, including this all-in-one WellCare Spendables debit card to use for over-the-counter health items. Find out how easy it is to get all of your original Medicare coverage plus extra benefits. You could have medical coverage, coverage for prescription drugs, dental, vision, and hearing, and the WellCare Spendables debit card to make getting the coverage you need more convenient. The WellCare Spendables debit card can be used for over-the-counter health items. And here's more good news. You can get a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan with a $0 or low monthly plan premium. How can WellCare offer all of those benefits for a $0 or low monthly plan premium? It's simple. Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage are important parts of Medicare. WellCare has a contract with Medicare to offer and provide these important options to you. Call right now to get your free copy of the WellCare All-in-One Guide. Call 844-975-0005 now. There is absolutely no obligation for requesting this free information. WellCare offers benefits that go beyond the basics, and we make them easy to use, so you can support your best health. Call a licensed sales agent to see if you are eligible to enroll today and get your free copy of the all-in-one guide with absolutely no obligation. Your free guide will provide information to make a smart choice for your health care coverage. Just call 844-975-0005. Remember, there's no obligation for requesting this free information, so call 844-975-0005. Call today.
Spot Pet insurance plans help pet parents focus on the moments that matter and worry less about unexpected vet bills. From puppyhood and beyond, Spot can cover up to 90% of eligible vet visits. Visit spotpet.com to get a free quote.
This right here is confidence in a bottle. It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags. And let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view. And now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
When Abbie Speir's body is pulled from her burning home in Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan, the gathering crowd assumes the 33-year-old mother of three has likely passed from smoke inhalation. However, it isn't long before they make a terrifying discovery. The fire is nothing more than a distraction from the true crime. Abbie has been stabbed to death. Once Abbie's body is discovered, the hunt for her two young children begins. Thankfully, the tragedy of the evening doesn't grow worse. Her daughters are found sitting on the front steps of Abbie's sister's home in Regina, about an hour away from Yellowgrass. The prime suspect for Abbie's murder is quickly determined to be her partner, Kevin Okafor. Close family is aware Kevin was abusive to Abbie, and she was planning to leave him while he was working out of town.
It took 3 days for the police to get positive confirmation of the body. I mean, we knew it was her, but that distance between the sort of raw knowledge and the legal knowledge was super painful, and we made the decision that Dad and Mom would go to Regina. They needed to make statements, and we stayed up most of the night just crying, just trying to make sense of what should never have to be made sense of.
Later that night, Kevin is spotted near the quiet town of Swift Current, Saskatchewan, a 3-hour drive west of Yellowgrass. Police pursue the white truck through the flatlands as a high-speed chase begins. It immediately becomes clear Kevin isn't going to turn himself in that easily.
In my experience, high-speed pursuits are some of the most dangerous aspects of policing. The officer's goal is to end the pursuit as quickly as possible. The longer a pursuit goes on, the more likely somebody is going to get hurt. Police officers are trained in multiple techniques to bring vehicles to a stop, whether it be using additional cruiser cars or using things like stop sticks or spikes that we often see in the media to deflate the tires so the vehicle can't continue.
Several RCMP detachments work together, and authorities are able to track the murderer's movements. They know exactly which road he's on. So, in an attempt to bring the chase to an end and to bring the perp to justice, officers deploy a spike belt onto the highway. The truck speeds over the belt, instantly damaging the tires, causing it to roll onto the side of the road. There, police flank the vehicle and take an unarmed Kevin Okafor into custody. Almost 3 years after her death, the pre-trial for Abbie Speir's murderer begins, with some family and friends in attendance.
It's an unbelievable
emotional experience to sit in a room with someone who has killed your daughter. And he can sit there and he looks just like you and me. He looks just like he did when he sat in that chair when he used to come to my house. And yet he has pulled this horrific crime that has thrown our family into total chaos. I just like to emphasize the emotional and psychological strain of our judicial system as well. We went through numerous delays, cancellations.
The length of time that things dragged out before we had that pre-trial, it just felt like it wasn't put to bed, and it's like we couldn't really fully put Abbie to rest until that was done and justice was served, because there was always that thing in the back of your mind of, what if he gets away with it?
Hey, you folks. Matt McCoy here to talk about the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford and why people love it so much. This is a good movie. Looks like it got a 94% thumbs up. Now, that's pretty high. Even that's less than the 96% of customers 50 and over who recommend the Hartford. In fact, 4 out of 5 AARP members who switched to the Hartford from companies like Allstate, State Farm, and Geico got a lower rate. And many of them saved hundreds on their auto insurance. Not an AARP member? Hey, not to worry. The Hartford can help you join in minutes.
To start saving on your insurance today, get your free quote by calling the Hartford at 1-800-684-6093 or visit trusthartford.com.
I hear this place is great. 90% of diners recommend it. That doesn't beat the 96% of customers who recommend the Hartford. You just can't beat benefits like disappearing deductible. Plus, they offer new car replacement.
New car replacement?
Yep, if your new car is totaled, the Hartford will pay the full replacement cost.
The camera on this phone is amazing.
It's only a 93% satisfaction rating, though. Still less than the Hartford. You know what else? You can save even more if you bundle home and auto. For the savings, benefits, and best-in-class claims experience you deserve, make the switch today.
Join the millions of drivers 50 and over who switch to the AARP auto insurance program from the Hartford and get the savings you want and the award-winning claims experience you deserve. To get your free, no-obligation quote and see how much you could save, call the Hartford at 1-800-684-6093 or visit trusthartford.com. The Bucks got your back.
Attention, consumers who have used the heartburn medication Zantac between 1980 and 2019. The prescription and over-the-counter medication Zantac has been linked to cancer. Ranitidine may break down into a probable human carcinogen, NDMA, which has been linked to cancers of the liver, kidney, pancreas, esophagus, stomach, bladder, breast, prostate, and colon. Zantac was recalled and pulled from the market in 2020. Several manufacturers of the heartburn medication Zantac have already entered into settlement for consumers who have developed cancer using these medications. If you or a loved one took the heartburn medication Zantac and were recently diagnosed with cancer, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Call now to see if you qualify. Call 1-800-300-6499. That's 1-800-300-6499. 1-800-300-6499.
When big city crimes hit small town America,
it was so shocking.
Who will uncover the clues and solve the murder in their quaint communities? Heartland Homicide, next on True Crime Network.
Thankfully, some justice is found in Abbie's death. Initially charged with first-degree murder, Kevin Okafor pleads guilty to second-degree murder instead, foregoing a trial altogether.
First and second-degree murder are both culpable homicide. However, first-degree murder generally has an element of premeditation or planning involved with it, whereas second-degree murder generally does not. So an accused would want to take a plea deal and plead guilty to second-degree murder instead of going to trial and potentially being convicted of first-degree murder, because while both of them carry mandatory life sentences, potentially an accused that's convicted of second-degree murder could be released on parole up to 15 years earlier than someone convicted of first-degree murder.
The judge calls the crime shocking, appalling, horrific, deplorable, and inexplicable. Kevin Obina Okafor receives life in prison with eligibility for parole in 16 years.
That guilty plea was, I think, for everybody avoiding more trauma. I felt that we could finally find peace with the situation, and I really hope that her family could start to find some peace and some healing and start to move forward.
The particular tragedy or pain of domestic violence loss is that the threat doesn't come from outside of your family. It comes from inside. And to lose a sense that you can trust the people you love, that your internal family is a stable place, like there's a lot of loss there that was really tough.
Days after the pretrial wraps, the province of Saskatchewan enacts the Interpersonal Violence Disclosure Protocol, known as Clare's Law, which allows police to inform an individual at risk about the violent past of an intimate partner. Because of the new law, Abbie's family and friends discovered that Kevin has a previous domestic assault charge from 2011. Whether or not this law could have helped Abbie, no one will ever know. But the fact that it exists now may save the lives of women in the same situation.
Advocating for rights of women in domestic violence and awareness to the general public for the signs and the responsibilities when you see the signs to speak up. These women, like Abbie, are reaching out. They can't really say it, but it's everybody's responsibility in the workplace to recognize these signs and get involved.
The only person that could prevent Abbie from dying that night was Kevin. Instead of asking why she didn't leave, we need to ask, why did Kevin do that? Kevin and Kevin alone is responsible for her death.
What are we doing as a society to stop this epidemic of men and women in some cases who seem not to be able to find ways to solve their problems without controlling, emotionally, physically, sexually violating their partners? It's so strange to me that there are almost no recovery programs for violators and offenders. Because as long as we talk about this as a women's issue, all we're gonna do is drag bodies out of houses.
In the midst of the heartache, the volunteers of Yellowgrass decide to do what they do best: rally a town together. They create Abbie's Day, a day filled with fun activities including a slow pitch tournament, face painting, and a slip and slide. All things the 33-year-old mother and vibrant personality would have loved. They also plant a tree in her honor and unveil a special bench in a local park. All funds raised during the day are donated to her children, children who now have to live in a world without their mother to watch over them.
The impact that this had on the community was tough. It was hard, but I've never seen a community come together so much after what occurred. Right from our community club ladies putting on an event, having something called an Abbie Day, planting a tree. Amazing. How we all came together and just supported each other that way was amazing.
The community keeps Abbie's spirit alive in the little things it does. A neighbor purchases the plot of land where Abbie's house once stood, leaving it vacant as a place for people to come and remember the free-spirited, fun-loving, hard-working woman. A woman who loved Ripple chips, fresh bed sheets, and high heels.
For Abbie's memory, I guess I just want to keep her personality and her life and memories alive for her kids so that they will know what she was like and what she would have hoped for them. Honoring her memory and legacy and taking her along with us is the only way forward for me. And I feel very lucky that we were able to recover so many of Abbie's things. I wear some of her clothing almost every day. Our society needs to talk about the hard things. We need to be models of grief and sharing and of community and of taking care of one another.
Yellowgrass may be a quiet town in Saskatchewan's southeastern region, but no one who passes through, be it a local or a visitor, will ever be able to forget the name of Abbie Speir and the joy she brought, not only to the community, but to those who loved her and to those who were loved by her.
When you get approved with Drive Time, you get the real deal. It's the Drive Time Real Deal Maker. I can't be too excited.
It lets you customize the real down payment and monthly payment of the car you want to buy.
That's super smart. I make the deal myself.
It's your car, and you should make the deal you want.
And the deal you make on your phone is the deal you pay. It's that simple. You make the deal yourself.
Then just go to the dealership for a haggle-free purchase because you already made the deal yourself. Get the real deal at drivetime.com.
I have PCOS. It can cause unexplainable weight gain. Having to go through Weight Watchers Clinic and now taking a GLP-1, you just feel that extra level of support. And I'm like 2 pounds away from my goal weight, which is like,
thanks to Reverie, vaginal dryness doesn't get between us anymore.
6 across 7 letters?
It's hormone-free. There's no messy applicator, so it fits our routine. Reverie.
Thousands of women have restored their vaginal moisture. Join them at reverie.com.
For too long, high-quality diamonds have been too expensive. With 70 years of fine jewelry experience, Ross Simons knows luxury and value. We now offer lab-grown dream diamonds you can actually afford. Discover real brilliance at fabulous prices. Luxury or value? Why choose? Explore the lab of luxury at rosssimons.com.
There's an easier way to bank and get up to $500 in 5 minutes or less when you download Dave.
You may be eligible for a Medicare Advantage plan if you are turning 65, have limited income, or you are moving. See how a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan could get you some big benefits, including this all-in-one WellCare Spendables debit card to use for over-the-counter health items. Find out how easy it is to get all of your original Medicare coverage plus extra benefits. You could have medical coverage, coverage for prescription drugs, dental, vision, and hearing, and the WellCare Spendables debit card to make getting the coverage you need more convenient. The WellCare Spendables debit card can be used for over-the-counter health items. And here's more good news. You can get a WellCare Medicare Advantage plan with a $0 or low monthly plan premium. How can WellCare offer all of those benefits for a $0 or low monthly plan premium? It's simple. Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage are important parts of Medicare. WellCare has a contract with Medicare to offer and provide these important options to you. Call right now to get your free copy of the WellCare All-in-One Guide. Call 844-975-0005 now. There is absolutely no obligation for requesting this free information. WellCare offers benefits that go beyond the basics, and we make them easy to use so you can support your best health. Call a licensed sales agent to see if you are eligible to enroll today and get your free copy of the All-in-One Guide with absolutely no obligation. Your free guide will provide information to make a smart choice for your healthcare coverage. Just call 844-975-0005. Remember, there's no obligation for requesting this free information, so call 844-975-0005. Call today.
Attention, parents of premature babies. If your child was born premature and was later diagnosed with necrotizing enterocolitis, or NEC, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Several studies have shown a link between cow's milk-based formula and NEC. If your baby was fed a cow's milk-based formula, such as Similac, Enfamil, Gerber, or even store-branded cow's milk-based formula, and was diagnosed with NEC, don't wait. Call the Victims Justice Group now. Necrotizing enterocolitis is a severe intestinal illness that often requires surgery and can be fatal 50% of the time. NEC can affect any newborn, but babies born prematurely or at low birth weight are more susceptible to NEC. If your child was fed a cow's milk-based formula and was later diagnosed with NEC, you may qualify to file a claim against the formula manufacturer. Our attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve for your pain and suffering. If your child was fed a cow's milk-based formula and was diagnosed with necrotizing enterocolitis or NEC, don't delay. Call our helpline now.
Big city crimes in small town America. Heartland Homicide. Next.
It's July 4th, 1987. The community of Athens, Wisconsin is out to enjoy the holiday, but not everyone is celebrating. Tonight, 4 members of the Kunz family will be murdered, and 1 will be missing.
Within hours, we realized that the entire family had been wiped out. That's very, very weird. And that story just went from weird to weirder.
The story spins out of control when one of the victims is a suspected drug dealer.
Bottom line is there's 4 people dead, 1 person missing, and at least on our end, a whole lot of questions.
People don't know if this is a drug deal gone wrong, a robbery turned bad, or Helen Kunz did it all herself. But in a close community like Athens, somebody knows something. As one travels the WI-97 on their way from Medford down to Wausau, you stumble upon Athens, Wisconsin. It's the kind of place where the American dream is born. Visitors might stop by a local cafe for a coffee with friends, or maybe one's in town for their 116-year-old fair to hit up the Midway that takes place in August. Known for being a quiet town, perfect for raising a family, and a killer ball team, there's an event that mars the pristine streets. Over 30 years ago, just 6 miles west of town, a massacre changed the community and Marathon County forever.
I had been working for the paper about 6 months when the Kunz murders occurred. The Kunzes originally were from Manitowoc, and when they arrived in Marathon County, they couldn't have picked a worse time. The county, which had once been part of the lumber industry in Wisconsin, the lumber from Marathon County built Chicago, but all those trees were gone, and all that was left were the stumps. Cutover, which Marathon County is the center of, was considered the poorest area in the United States.
The Kunz family settles in Marathon County in early 1906. They live a secluded life on their 108-acre farm, 6 miles west of Athens. After Ignatz and Ann Kunz pass away, they leave the family farm to their son, Clarence, who builds the current home on the property.
Athens is a smaller community and primarily agriculture. Dairy farms,
You've heard the saying, America's Dairyland. We take pride in that. And generally, if we're doing a story out there in the late 1980s, it's either agriculture related or maybe there's a highway expansion, something like that. A homicide case like this is just the last thing you expect.
By the summer of 1987, siblings Irene, Marie, Clarence, and Helen Kunz all live on the farm with Helen's two sons, 30-year-old Randy and 55-year-old Kenneth, who is painfully shy. All but Kenneth live in the dilapidated main house with just a wood stove for heat and no running water. It seems for the Kunz family, time had stood still. Of the 6 people living on the property, only Kenneth, known as Kenny, has an employment record. He spends his days at a local cheese factory, while the rest of the family lives off Social Security. Known as local hoarders, the Kunz farm is a cornucopia of old implements and vehicles, which they've bought and sold. Due to the secluded lifestyle inherited from their parents, most of the Kunz family is exceptionally private and reclusive. Helen and Randy were always seen together. Randy is Helen's chauffeur, constantly driving her to wherever she needs to go. He often waits in the car as she does her errands, even when she has her weekly Sunday breakfast in town. Helen Kunz is an enigma for most of the community. She's quiet and polite. Like most of her family, she still dresses as though it's 1930, as if time moved everywhere except on their farm. In a way, the Kunzes are set apart from the community. They have so little interaction with people in the town of Athens that they are seen as oddities. But the 4th of July in an area like Athens is an important event. It's a time when everyone who lives there comes together. Like many families on Independence Day, this Saturday is a typical family day for the Kunzes. Enjoying time together, they have a picnic in the yard to celebrate. Helen and Randy are in Athens, a town miles from their home. Taking in the celebrations as they ring in the 4th of July. Leaving around 10:30 p.m. together after the fireworks. Kenny Kunz is out to have a good time himself. He goes to the cheese factory where he works to clean up his truck and have some drinks. At some point that night, Kenny buys fireworks, a common occurrence on the 4th of July. Kenny has a lot of cash on him, but where does it come from? Some believe he's selling drugs for his younger brother Randy, who a witness says is a drug dealer in the area.
The hidden secret with rural Wisconsin is that drug use is spreading from the major communities, from the major cities. People are desperate to support their drug habit, and they will resort to any means necessary. But if that means petty crime, then so be it. And that's a struggle for small communities. They don't know how to deal with it.
Randy Kunz's reclusive nature and lack of attention-seeking make him a perfect candidate to be a potential small-time dealer in the area. Is it reasonable that Randy would have Kenny involved? As the only one in the family with a regular job, he would have access to more customers. It's 10:50 at night, and Kenny is at the cheese factory. Little does he know what's about to happen back at the family farm. Having left around 10:30 p.m. from the fireworks display, Helen and Randy arrive at home. At some time between 10:30 and 11 p.m., Irene dozes while watching TV in the living room. Clarence is asleep in the bed that's in the room, having gone down for the night at 8 p.m. But someone has sinister plans for the Kunz family. What happened at the Kunz farm that hot July night? When Kenny gets back to the farmyard around 5 a.m., he does his best to be quiet. He knows it's early. He slept in his car last night and doesn't want to wake anyone up now that he's back home.
When Kenny came home, two things that he found strange was that Randy's car wasn't in the front of the house and that the radio was on at, like 6 in the morning, loud.
He realizes something's off. He goes over to the house to see what's going on.
That's when he saw Marie slept on the steps.
His Aunt Marie lays dead on the steps. Where is everyone else? Kenny enters the home to find his brother, Randy, dead in the kitchen. As he looks around, the terrifying events are revealed. His uncle Clarence is dead too. The gravity of the situation starts to take hold. His attention then turns to his mother, Helen, who is missing. Where is she? Is she in the house? Is she outside? But Helen is nowhere to be seen.
There has never been a better time to join AARP. This special offer gives you exclusive access to hundreds of AARP discounts, programs, and services that will add real value to your life. As a member, you can get discounts on glasses and eye exams, save on prescription drugs not covered by Medicare. But you can also save on travel, hotels, restaurants, concert tickets, and so much more.
I didn't know that.
AARP helps members access exclusive benefits like Medicare supplement insurance, even auto insurance.
We can use that.
AARP offers financial tips, career resources, and tools that may help you avoid identity theft and scammers.
That's good to know. Pick up the phone now to join AARP. Just $9 per year. That's 43% off the regular membership price. You'll even get a second membership included free. And you'll receive AARP the magazine filled with information and articles important to you. Plus, you'll get hundreds of benefits and an additional free gift if you call now.
And you don't have to be retired to join AARP. You can join at 50 for instant access to many member benefits. For 60 years, AARP has fought to protect your Social Security, Medicare, and more.
That sounds good to me.
Now you know how AARP helps people like us take on today. So don't miss your chance to join now.
Call or go online now to take advantage of this limited time Labor Day sale. Just $9 per year when you sign up for a 5-year term. That's 43% off the regular membership price. And you'll get a second membership for anyone in your home free. And AARP the magazine, filled with information and articles important to you. Plus, you get the AARP mobile app that connects you to local events and activities near you. And as a free gift, we'll include this insulated trunk organizer. So don't miss this chance to save 43%. Join AARP, just $9 per year.
Call 800-264-6984 or go online today.
The best feeling is when we take off our bras. It's natural. So you take off your bra, then you feel the weight. What's the solution? Honey Love bras are the most comfortable bras I've ever worn. No underwire, so there's never any digging into your skin. There is some boning on the sides, which make it super comfortable and supportive. And one of my favorite parts, no back fat. Never. The back shops are so wide and so seamless. I could work out. I could run. I could dance. I could do anything that's fun. It's beautiful. It's supportive.
Free 30-day returns. Shop now at honeylove.com.
I have bad bunions. Wish they'd disappear. Sup, future me. And no bunions. How?
Lapiplasty corrects bunions at the source, meaning you're back in sneakers in weeks. Weeks! The future of bunion surgery is here. Learn more at lapiplasty.com. Risks include infection, pain, and loss of correction.
Does a physical or mental health condition keep you from working? Do you need help applying for disability benefits? Or have you already been denied disability? Call Disability Help today. Get the Social Security disability benefits you deserve. Get connected with disability representatives nationwide without leaving your home. Social Security disability cases are time sensitive. Don't wait and call the number on your screen now.
Athens, Wisconsin, Population 1105. Known for its 116-year-old town fair and being a quiet town perfect for raising a family, its surrounding agriculture sprawls out across the countryside. In a small area known as BARNARD, just 6 miles from Athens, lies the Kunz family farm. Here, the fields turn to dense forest cover. It's in this very place that a horrendous crime is committed. Kenneth Kunz has just made a startling discovery. 4 members of his family are dead, and his 70-year-old mother, Helen, is missing. It's the morning of July 5th, 1987, and Marathon County Coroner John Larson has arrived at the scene to find Kenneth Kunz standing grimly outside the residence. Nothing could prepare him for what he would discover inside.
I was the Marathon County Coroner at the time of the Kunz case. This would have been a very unusual occurrence. I don't know that there had been any homicides or any kind of major crime in Athens for many years. When I arrived on scene and I went to the house, just inside that back porch door was the body of Marie Kunz. She had a apparent gunshot wound.
As a former medical examiner investigator, if I was to come across a scene that had multiple victims and I was advised of that, that would be the first red flag, because that usually is something that's usually always of a suspicious nature. So I would automatically ask the police department that I am working with to secure that scene, so that way we preserve all of the evidence that is within that scene. No one contaminates it, so that we can get a very clear picture after going through with the forensic identification team to make a determination of what actually has occurred at the scene.
Randy's body shows signs of a struggle, and the door shows no sign of a forced entry. This leads authorities to think that the perpetrator is known to the Kunzes, or they were at least let in willingly.
Randy Kunz is lying in the kitchen, and we were concerned with Randy because he had a wound close to the middle of his forehead that was kind of a somewhat gaping wound, and we weren't sure initially if that was a wound from some type of a sharp instrument, possibly a hatchet. Had some blunt force trauma to his head. So not only was he shot, but he was struck with an instrument.
Evidence, that's where you have that wording called chain of custody. The police department makes sure that the only one that is going to take any items out of that scene is the forensic identification unit, and they move that evidence from the scene to then their crime lab. We also do that with the body. We take that body to the morgue with police presence and lock them up, and again, we have all preservation of evidence until an autopsy is performed.
The wound on Randy's head actually turned out to be a graze or a gutter wound, where the bullet actually went through the skin and just grazed it, and we were able to identify that that was actually a bullet wound at autopsy. One of the crime lab technicians, who is extremely knowledgeable about firearms, he had strong suspicions that this was a semi-automatic long gun. Clarence was lying on his right side, and Clarence had 2 gunshot wounds just below his right eye. There was a body identified, an elderly little woman, as Irene Kunz. She was sitting in a cushioned chair. Her head was slumped forward.
Forensic evidence also shows that the family dies between 10:30 and 11 p.m. on July 4th. Right around that time, Helen and Randy would have been arriving home after leaving the fireworks display. Investigators wonder if this was just a robbery on the secluded farm that went wrong. But there is money seemingly everywhere. They find envelopes full of it. The total is $22,000 in cash, the equivalent of over $50,000 today. But where did it all come from? Is it from Randy's supposed drug dealing? If not robbery, what's the motive of this horrible crime? It doesn't take long for the investigators to discover some disturbing signs of the nature of the Kunz household, the mess notwithstanding. Despite the veritable squalor of the Kunz home, there is a new television and VCR, and next to that, there are dozens and dozens of pornographic videotapes out in the open in the family living room.
The bodies were each placed in a body bag. At that time, the sheriff's department, they had a pickup truck that had a cap or a topper on it. It's a little embarrassing now to think that we're transporting bodies in a pickup truck. It's not a great deal of dignity, but it's what we had, and those were the resources that we had at the time.
I was in the house, and you could hardly move through it. There was so much stuff. In the main room, the living room, Clarence slept with two of his sisters, Irene and Marie. And there was pornography everywhere. I mean, there were stacks of pornography everywhere.
Suspicion immediately falls on the only person readily available, Kenneth Kunz.
This is often referred to as a family annihilation, where one person in the family suffers a trauma at the hands of one or more of the persons that have been murdered. Given the state of the home and the disturbing evidence found within, it led investigators to believe initially that Kenny was a suspect.
The sheriff's department immediately eliminated Kenny as a suspect because when he ran to a neighbor's house and asked to call the police or the sheriffs, and the sheriffs came, he said there are 3 people dead in the house and 2 people missing. But there were actually 4 people dead in the house. And if he had actually killed those people, he would have gotten the number right, at least.
Back at the Kunz farm, more interesting evidence is discovered. For some reason, Randy's car is parked in the garden that Kenny has freshly tilled up. Something neighbors say they've never seen before. Several tire tracks are there. Most of the tracks are accounted for, but one set of tracks is a mystery. But the most pressing question remains. Where is Helen Kunz? Is she still alive? What does she know about the murder of her family members? Athens, Wisconsin's motto is, a friendly town that bands together. When news that Helen Kunz has disappeared and the rest of the family has been murdered, they do just that. Community members mount a search of the 108-acre Kunz farm. They search through the outbuildings and acres of heavily wooded land. As Helen's disappearance drags on, authorities expand their search, but still, they find nothing.
I know that there were a lot of searches done, searches of the area cornfields, searches of woods. They had volunteers, and it was very disconcerting that there was not a trace of Helen Kunz. I mean, the community was just, they were shaken tremendously that there was a homicide in this very small town.
One of the weirdest parts of this case was that this woman, Helen Kunz, 70 years old, had vanished. People started wearing these buttons that said, "Where's Helen?"
The incredibly private Kunz family's personal information is now under a microscope. Investigators start to analyze Helen's movements. Could she be the perpetrator? Just a few weeks before the incident, Helen buys .22 caliber shells for what she says is to shoot blackbirds. But with the murder weapon also being a .22 caliber firearm, suspicion arises. Could Helen have motive to kill her family?
When Helen became pregnant with Kenny, she was 15. She had just turned 15. And she claimed that a bootlegger that lived across the road from the Kunz farm in Marathon County had raped her. He was convicted of statutory rape. He went to prison for about 18 months, lost his farm, eventually died in a car accident. But the bootlegger said everyone knows that Helen and Clarence, her brother, are in a sexual relationship. The idea that Kenny was Helen's son through a relationship with her brother Clarence, one of the victims of the shooting. That never disappeared. When the sheriff's department asked Kenny who the victims were, he said Clarence, his uncle, was also his father. At first, the sheriff thought he's just confused. He's just not following what's going on here. But he meant it. There were other reasons to suspect that Helen might have been angry. An Associated Press reporter was interviewing someone that ran the hardware store in Athens. And the person there said, how are you doing? She said, I'm just so angry. My family, all they do is watch pornography all day long. And I just want to kill them. It makes me so mad. I just want to kill them.
Though Kenny later denies saying anything about incest in the recorded police interview, the pornographic videotapes found at the home and Helen's own statement at the hardware store give investigators a feeling that something is amiss at the Kunz residence. Have all the years of routine and squalor finally caused Helen to snap? Did she mean it when she said, "I just want to kill them"? Was it all too much? Is this issue with pornography the final straw? Did she just grab some money as quickly as she could, knowing Kenny was coming home soon and needed to get out of there? The police are desperate to find her, as she is the key to finding out what really happened.
At Drive Time, you can do a lot in 30 seconds right on your phone. Like get approved, then start shopping thousands of cars with real terms, all with no hit to your credit in as little as 30 seconds. But this is a 15-second ad. It sure is. Go to drivetime.com and do a lot in not a lot of time. From the moment they join your family, you'll do everything possible to care for your best friend. Spot Pet Insurance helps pet parents focus on the moments that matter and worry less about unexpected vet bills. With plans that can cover up to 90% of eligible vet visits, Spot Pet Insurance has you covered from puppyhood and beyond. Your best friend makes every moment special. Spot is here to help ensure you'll have a lifetime of moments to celebrate together. Visit spotpet.com to get a free quote today.
Looking for affordable and stylish kids' shoes? Head to fabkids.com. I love the fact that they have the color block pastel details, have easy on and off straps. These are so cute. Plus, major bonus, the glitter does not come off. These are so fun. I love the all over black and white dino print. Plus, they light up. My daughter went crazy when she saw these. The quality for the price is amazing. Get shoes from just $5 plus free shipping on orders over $10 only at fabkids.com.
We've all done the smell check.
Trust me, I'm good.
Claire V targets vaginal odor at the source. Claire V, long-term relief from vaginal odor, itching, and discharge. Try it at clairv.com.
Are you or a loved one between the ages of 50 to 80 years old? If you are younger than 80 years old, do you receive Social Security, Disability, or Medicare? If you answered yes, you may qualify for $30,000 in funeral insurance for only pennies a day. The average funeral costs around $11,000, and Social Security only pays $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance. Call now to see if you qualify for $30,000 in funeral expense coverage from Senior Legacy Life. Your rate will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and there is no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing disease or illness. Don't be a financial burden to your family. Lock in your rate by completing an application over the phone right now. Will you qualify for funeral insurance up to $30,000 for only pennies a day? Find out by calling Senior Legacy Life.
Call 1-800-300-3341 to speak with a licensed insurance agent. That's 1-800-300-3341.
Last year, 1 million tiny miracles were lovingly wrapped in our softest fabrics as they made their debut in this world. Snuggled safely, moms held their babies close, soaking up that newborn smell and first little smile, whispering hopes for their future. To love so deeply is a beautiful thing, and we are beyond honored to be part of the most memorable days. Thank you, Mama, for choosing us. We can't wait to watch your little one grow.
Coming up next on True Crime Network.
4 members of the Kunz family have been murdered, and 70-year-old Helen Kunz is missing. Despite a massive search, authorities still don't know where Helen is. They broaden their investigation in hopes of getting more clues. Authorities have heard rumors about Randy's drug dealing. Could this have something to do with what happened?
As an investigator, it's a very humbling experience when you have a crime scene with very little evidence and everyone's looking at you, everyone's looking for answers. There's all kinds of pressure that's put upon you by the media and by the community. When you have no clues and you have no suspects, this is when the real hard police work begins. Because you know somewhere, someone has to know something.
Months go by, and Helen is still missing. Recently, a young man has bought a car off the Kunzes, Chris Jacobs III. Perhaps he knows something that could give the investigators a better understanding of the Kunzes' world. Maybe he saw something or noticed someone else at their farm that could be a clue.
He was a young man, a farmer from across the county line in Taylor County, rural Medford.
Chris Jacobs was arrested for stealing a car, and he had chopped the car and dumped the parts in marsh not too far from his house. And he was just a troublemaker.
Police are hoping Chris can provide some insight into the Kunzes due to his dealings with them, but he can't offer any new information, so he's released. In addition to this, a neighbor gives a telling report that may provide investigators with the answers they need. When driving home on July 4th, 1987, local neighbor Alice goes down the road near the Kunz farm. She spots what appears to be a car waiting near the entrance of the Kunz farm, but is met with the glare of a spotlight. Curiously, the car follows her until she is well past the Kunz farm. But will her tale equate to an arrest? Without seeing who the driver is, what does this tell authorities? March 1988. Spring has just hit Wisconsin, and 2 boys are out to enjoy a little fishing. An ominous odor catches their senses, leading them to a haunting discovery.
Helen Kunz remains were found after the search went underground in the spring of 1988. Now the final victim had been found, but what exactly did that mean? We now have a 5th confirmed victim, but we may not be a whole lot closer to getting this case charged and into court.
Helen, her body was found out in the outside environment. So we have things such as Mother Nature with the hot sunshine and wind, and she was also in water. So many months later, it would have been very difficult to do a visual recognition of her body. As an investigator, the most important thing in terms of suspecting that that would have been Helen is to do a positive identification. We would be looking for things such as fingerprints for Helen. We would be looking for any sort of dental work.
With Helen discovered, investigators must double down on the evidence they have. After their initial interaction with Chris Jacobs, investigators decide to follow up. A search of his bedroom discovers some striking evidence.
The shell casings had interesting evidence because you have the firing pin mark, which is like a fingerprint of a weapon. On each and every spent shell casing, that's extremely identifiable, along with the breech marks. When that bullet is fired and it expands, the breech expands and stamps on the part of the base of the barrel, the breech, and it leaves absolutely identifiable marks.
The shell casings found in Chris's room are the same as the ones found at the Kunz's. As the search continues, police also discover a handheld spotlight in Chris Jacobs' car. Local neighbor Alice had said someone had shone a spotlight in her face that fateful night when she passed the Kunz farm.
The onus is on the prosecutor to compile enough evidence to present to the court to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. So when the prosecutor is deciding whether or not to initiate a prosecution on behalf of the federal government, there's two issues that they have to consider. The first is whether there's enough evidence to prove that case beyond a reasonable doubt, and the second is whether or not prosecuting that case best serves the interests of the public. And criminal trials can be very lengthy, so the prosecutor needs to make sure that they have all of the evidence that they think they need to prove the case prior to starting that trial.
The evidence is piling up against Chris Jacobs, but Chris maintains his innocence. The police feel like he's their man and press charges against him. Chris purchases a vehicle from the Kunz's. This we know. But prosecutors have a theory about what happens during the encounter. Prosecutors theorize that Chris has to go inside the Kunz's home to get the bill of sale. While inside, Chris is shocked by the Kunz's home and living arrangements. Chris notices money lying around. After getting the bill of sale, he hatches a plan to rob the Kunz family. Key defense witness, local man Wayne D. Weiler, gives investigators a statement saying that Chris Jacobs told him that he was planning to rob the Kunz family. Investigators contend that Chris and one or two other unnamed individuals sneak onto the Kunz family farm and brutally murder the Kunz family. The men gain entry to the house and demand the money that Chris saw. Something startles the men, and things go wrong. Did Randy try to defend his family from the assailants? A struggle ensues. Perhaps Chris doesn't expect the Kunz's to fight back, and Randy is the next to die. But something occurs that's unclear. What happens to Helen? What makes her so unique that Chris and the other assailants take her with them? Why is there so much money left at the house? Is the motive robbery? Investigators say that the tire tracks at the Kunz farm match Chris's car. Did Alice see them as she drives by? Autopsies show that Helen dies around the same time as the rest of her family. Her body is dumped 19 miles away in the Taylor County muskeg. When Jacobs is arrested for stealing and stripping a car months earlier, he is found to have thrown car parts in the swamps around his farm. Helen is found in the same area. Despite the evidence against Chris Jacobs, his lawyer has another theory behind what really happened that night.
All right, time to do some selling. That's going towards rent. Oh yeah, that's going towards girls' night. And that's going towards a new bag.
Your closet is worth more than you realize. Download the Poshmark app and start cashing in today.
Are you over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days? I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. Call now for this free book on maximizing your income in retirement. Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers from one of the nation's leading financial firms. That's right, free. This book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we're about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known truths we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity, and it's free. Call 800-256-7497. As a bonus, We'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. We researched numerous products and summarized rates and benefits of annuities, all from Silac Insurance Company. Call 800-256-7497. That's 800-256-7497. Call now.
You know what I love about Quick Hit Slots? It's the mobile slots game that gives you those authentic Vegas thrills. Quick Hit Slots has all the games